Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the BroadBoys podcast. I'm Cade. This is Micah. We've been getting a lot of stuff recently. I've been playing a lot of games, watching a couple of movies, actually. Micah, I'm assuming you've been doing the same in addition to everything else you do in your lovely life. Why don't you tell me about it?
Yeah, so some real life stuff. I got a new job.
Yippee.
That's cool.
Yippee.
Which means I'll be able to afford things again, hopefully.
Yeah, that's what you always think. And
then you just somehow don't have money for anything.
Mm-hmm. Especially after this month in gaming.
I know. So I just finished the halfway mark of Black Myth Wukong.
Good job.
Which I'm very happy about. I've been super enjoying it. Been a lot of fun.
All right, can we say something real quick? Like when we brought it up initially, you were saying it wasn't a Souls-like.
I still don't feel like it strictly is.
It's a third-person action game.
No. Hold on. Let me make my statement more known here. Okay, so you've got Souls games.
Yes.
Souls likes are gonna be like Lies of P is the biggest one. See, I think this is a branch from Lies of P. I would call this a Souls light, like a light version.
No, you can't see my eye twitch, but it's twitching.
I don't know. It doesn't feel the same. It doesn't feel the same to me.
Well, it's not the same game, but it's still a very similar genre.
I know, but I've played games that I would say, well, this feels like a Souls game.
I think it's like, in terms of Souls-like games, besides anything FromSoft has made, it's like Lies of P, Black Myth Wukong is like right behind it in terms of close
to... There's plenty of other ones. There's that crab game
that's way below.
No.
Way below.
No, because you watch people play that and like, that's just Dark Souls with different graphics.
And Black Myth Wukong is not.
No, it plays differently. And I'm gonna stick to that.
I don't know about that. It's a third-person action game.
Yeah.
It is basically a boss rush game.
It is.
Like the level design isn't, but in terms of how the gameplay feels, it feels very, very Souls-like in the way that it presents its gameplay.
See,
and, in reality, it's more of like a resource. It's more of a resource game because you have to build up to your focus and then do a heavy attack from the focus, so you can't just spam heavy attacks. But it's still, at its core, like very, very Souls-like. If you gave Dark Souls like a meter that builds up and then you do a big attack, it'd basically be 1-to-1.
Well, yeah, but that's not what Dark Souls is, and I don't think this is trying to be that either.
No, it's not. But it's to say it's not a Souls-like game.
No. That's where I'm gonna say it's a Souls-light.
Okay,
game.
Is Lies of P a Souls-light game?
No, I would say Lies of P is very Souls adjacent.
And Black Myth Wukong is also super Souls adjacent.
I would say Black Myth Wukong is like adjacent to Lies of P, but further from where Dark Souls is. So it's in the realm, but it's starting to like sphere off.
Would you say it's closer to God of War or Dark Souls?
Funny you say that. If God of War was a tiny bit less linear, it would be very much like that. Like, God of War is almost a light version of what Black Myth Wukong is.
I can't see it. To be fair, I'm only like halfway through chapter 2.
Yeah.
But like not the whole time. But I thought many times throughout the game, this is Dark Souls.
When you start chapter 3, so the entire like a good first 30 minutes of chapter 3 is these like story-ish bosses. So you don't even get to the open world choice section of chapter 3 till you fought like 4 or 5 bosses in a row. Like there's practically nothing to do but just fight boss, grab a shrine, fight boss, grab a shrine, and then you get to this gate that you go through, and now you get to make your choices again.
Yeah, in terms of level design, it's not exactly like Dark Souls. More like how it presents its action and combat.
That's where I'm almost like what you said. I think it almost plays more like God of War than it does a Dark Souls game. That's why I'm saying
God of War isn't really a boss rush game, though.
It's definitely a boss rush game.
I don't know.
You rush
it's more
from
of a
one
cutscene
boss.
game.
It is a cutscene game.
It's a cutscene game.
It's a light version of what Black Myth Wukong is.
Okay. Whatever. Anyway, that was a tangent about Black Myth Wukong.
If you agree with me, please let me know.
We already posted the short. No one agrees with you.
Do it again.
No. No one agrees with you.
No.
Yeah, I mean, fine. I mean, post your comments.
Souls Light.
That's such a broad. You could call Hollow Knight a Souls Light.
No,
which I don't
that's a
agree
Metroid.
With.
No,
I don't
no.
No, it's a Metroidvania.
Yeah.
But it has the Souls Light.
Different entirely.
But I don't like the light.
Completely different genre.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
But Souls Light is the term that it's given.
The problem is it's a boss rush game. Boss rush game.
Yeah.
Yes. Where I would then say, oh my goodness.
See, I'm actually liking this because you see Dark Souls is more about the levels.
Yeah.
And I completely agree.
Yeah.
I completely agree. It's just the way that it presents its combat.
I think Dark Souls is all about the levels. It's all about we're not going to hold your hand through this. It's
about the character building.
Yeah.
And it is about the bosses.
Yeah.
And it's about the level design.
Exactly.
Because the level design screws people over almost as much as the bosses do.
Exactly. No, I completely agree. I understand combat is similar. Whatever.
Okay.
So is every first-person shooter game out there.
Okay. But
that doesn't
not
mean they're all in the
third-person
same
action games.
Yeah, it doesn't mean they're all in the same genre. Is what I'm saying.
And I'm saying that Black Myth Wukong is way similar
to it's tangential.
Dark Souls.
It's tangential.
It's adjacent.
It's like God of War. It's the similar deal. You have a dodge, you have an attack, whatever. You can't say that a third-person combat game is Souls-like because you can dodge, attack, and heavy attack.
I'm not saying that because I'm not saying that God of War is a Souls-like game.
I would never say that.
I know, but
I'm saying that based on your combat rules here.
Well, I haven't even really gotten into specifics.
Because God of War, you have checkpoints. You get to level up. You can use a heavy attack. You can use a light attack. You can dodge out of the way. You've got your specials. The combat is very similar.
Okay.
I'm just pointing that out. It's the same as like first-person shooters. You run around, you shoot a gun. That doesn't mean they're all the same.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, we've been on this too long. We've been on this too long. But what else? You played Black Myth Wukong.
Yeah.
What's this game I've been seeing popping up on your Steam? It's like Ammo or something like that.
Anno 1800.
Yes.
Yeah. It's a city builder. I think we talked about it a few episodes ago. It's a city builder. It came out 4 or 5 years ago. Might be 6 at this point.
Right.
But it's pretty great. It's a Ubisoft game, but it's the best out of the series they made. And then they're coming out with a new one that everyone's really worried is going to be bad because of Ubisoft's track record.
Okay. Especially recently.
Yeah. Yes. But it's going to be an Anno game set during the Roman period, which is kind of cool.
Okay. City builder game.
Yep.
And you just, okay.
It's a grid-based city builder. It's also spreadsheet. It's a trade. It's an economy sim as well.
Okay.
So you trade with yourself to grow your city. You can trade with others, but you can also fight with them to steal their islands and stuff. It's pretty cool.
Fun stuff. I'm very happy for you. I've been seeing a lot of people play that game recently. So
yeah, I think it's because the new Anno game's coming out.
Okay. It's getting people interested.
Yeah,
I gotcha.
Been and they did a major bug fix recently that fixed one of the biggest gripes for a lot of people was like late game. There was a big bug where you couldn't grow past a certain point, and a lot of people were upset about that, and they fixed it.
And now you can play the game.
And now you can play into late game and beyond. So a lot of people are picking up their saves where they encountered the bug, and they're going beyond it.
Okay, that makes sense. It flies over my radar.
Yeah,
I'm not into the whole.
Which for a city builder, I'm not even in mid game, and I've definitely put like 45, 50 hours into this save.
Okay.
I've been doing a lot of the scenarios. I just want to, hit those, get gold in all of them, then go back to my sandbox world.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, since the last episode, I've been playing a lot of Skyrim.
I did see that. It's still Skyrim. Have you gotten all your achievements yet?
No. So right now I'm taking a break. It's quite an extended break. I basically have almost all the base game achievements. I did all the factions. I did all the miscellaneous stuff. Mm-hmm. At this point, it's just the main story and the Dragonborn DLC. The problem right now I'm encountering is because I just have the main story left. It's walk here, listen to this, walk here, listen to this. Yeah. I basically pull up podcasts and stuff and
it's
on my second screen. That's just how I'm playing the game right now. And not only that, Final Fantasy 16 released on PC.
I saw that.
Late September.
Yeah.
And I just kind of dropped everything to play that. So
And how has that been?
it is a great game.
Is it a good port?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't run into any issues. With any PC port from a PlayStation
Yeah.
game, there's always complaints about it. But my experience has been great so far. I will say it's definitely, and Final Fantasy has been like slowly going like more and more and more cinematic with each entry.
Yeah.
This one, it's I would classify it as a movie game so far.
Okay. Did you play 7?
The remake?
Yeah.
I have not yet. It's on my Steam wish list, so whenever it
Yeah.
gets under $30, I'll pick it up.
I think it's in your library now with family sharing.
Oh, really?
So you should check.
I should check.
It depends if they have the family sharing ticked on or off.
Yeah.
The new Steam family sharing is
It's
freaking
great.
awesome,
It's
by
great.
the way.
Don't narc, but we've been using it, and we have like probably 500 games combined in our family library.
It's so good. I'm such a huge fan of how they did it now because you can share copies.
I know.
So between the 5 of you in the family, if you have 4 copies, 4 of you can play. It doesn't matter whose copies they are.
It almost reminds me of like 5 years ago Netflix. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? With how like open it was and how the company was like, "Hey,
Yeah.
go share your password."
Can you imagine what things are gonna be like when Gaben dies, and he stops running the company or retires?
I bet Valve might make more games. Though they made Deadlock.
They did make Deadlock.
I haven't seen much about it. To be
No, I
honest.
have not.
But it's positive reviews.
I was more thinking of like all the good things they do for gamers, and then all of a sudden it's just gonna be a monetization hell.
Yeah. Well, as soon as the guy that's in charge needs to make profit, then it's kind of over.
It prints money on its own currently.
It does. But
they should really make a new game that they can sell skins for, and then just make 3% on every sale like they've been doing.
Yeah, I mean that's what CS2's for, though.
Yep. The only reason it's still around is because people are hating on Valorant.
Why are people hating on Valorant right now?
They've over-added champions, and it's becoming ridiculous.
Oh, like balance or what?
Yeah. So
I didn't know that.
basically, Riot is doing the thing like they did with League, where they just keep adding champions. The problem is, it's really easy in League. It's a lot harder to balance it in a shooter.
Yeah, not really focused on maps or anything. It's more just agents. Okay.
Speaking of which, Shroud is coming out with his own shooter.
I heard about that a couple months ago.
It's a 3v3, but everyone gets to control 2 characters.
Okay.
Yeah. And it looks a lot like Valorant.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm interested in the gimmick.
It's very gimmicky. A lot of the same things. So there's no ultimate abilities, but everyone has powers. So I guess it's quote unquote more predictable. But
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway, that's another long side trip.
Yeah, that's big sidetrack.
I have played about 17, 18 hours of Final Fantasy, right? Of Final Fantasy 16. I would probably say almost half of that, if not a third, is cutscenes.
Are they good cutscenes?
They're really good cutscenes.
Can't be too mad then.
I'm not too mad. I'm still enjoying the game. I'm enjoying the game. But just recently, I've been in such like an anti-movie game phase, I guess. And so I can't help but think back to even like Final Fantasy 15.
Yeah.
The last game in the series, had a lot more gameplay than cinematics. And hey, I'm only 18 hours in. Maybe it seems like I'm in Act 2 or whatever now that some big story moments happened. So maybe it'll open up a lot more. And if that's the case, great. I'm excited for that. But, since I would say Final Fantasy like 13, they've been getting more and more cinematic with each entry, which is fine. But then we're losing gameplay. Now, again, the 16 cinematics are awesome. The voice acting and music are amazing. I see why the guy that did Clive, the main guy, won Best Performance. I think he won Best Performance last year. But it was
Astarion.
Yeah, from Baldur's Gate. Well, I see why he was nominated.
Yes.
Because he did a great job. The sound team is Final Fantasy, so always
It's fantastic.
it's always fantastic.
Don't they usually always do something from Final Fantasy for the music?
And it's amazing.
The Game Awards.
The music is absolutely amazing.
I know, it's so good.
I'm probably just going to keep playing that until I beat it, so I'm excited for it.
The last thing
Yes.
here, before we break off, Sony State of Play. The only thing I was super interested in is that Ghost of Tsushima 2. I can't remember what it's called.
Ghost of Yotoi.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Something
Sorry,
like
I
that.
butchered it, I'm sure, but you know.
I'm super excited for that.
It made me want to play the first one.
Yeah.
And so I looked on Steam and it wasn't on sale. So
No, but
you know.
when they I guess technically they remade it for PC. It's not
I know,
even a
I saw
port,
that.
which is really cool because most companies don't do that. Most are just like, it's a cash grab. We'll just port it, and people buy it again.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not too much on the train, but I know it's great and I know people love it. So it's exciting for
I'm
Sony,
really
for
excited.
PlayStation 5 owners.
I know.
They're excited.
Arguably the worst PlayStation console, but
Man, is it? I think it is.
dude, there's nothing. It's so bad.
I think it is. PlayStation 5 is the worst PlayStation console.
It's also the worst time for Sony to be dropping the ball.
Yeah, but Microsoft isn't really putting anything else with them.
That's
so they're
fair.
safe. They're safe.
They're both safe. They're both sucking right now.
Yes.
But hey, it is what it is. As a PC gamer, I get to enjoy the benefits of everything.
I know. I think we're in the waiting period for almost all the companies. Capcom's been pumping out though.
Yeah.
And with Monster Hunter coming out February now, I don't want to gush about Monster Hunter every single episode. But
Rivals of Ether 2.
Yes. So this month, actually, I've been thinking about this month. I might go broke because of all the games I'm gonna buy is gonna be crazy. Like, I bought Final Fantasy 16, which just dropped on PC. Metaphor ReFantasia, which I've talked about a couple times. New Atlas game, makers of Persona.
Yep.
I've been seeing previews of it. Gonna buy it day one, hopefully. Depends on where I'm at in Final Fantasy, but gonna buy it. Gonna play it. Rivals of Ether 2, which was just going to be Rivals 2, but now it's Rivals of Ether 2. They had to switch the name because of Marvel Rivals, which is super funny that they dropped that there. But, Rivals of Ether 2 is coming out. Black Ops 6 is also coming out.
Yep.
So those are 4 big releases for me personally, and I want to play them all. It's going to be hard, but I already bought Rivals when I backed the project. I've been playing Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
Metaphor and Black Ops, we'll have to see. There's another game, the new Legend of Zelda game.
Yeah.
Just dropped as well.
The
top down.
Can't remember what it's called.
Echoes of Wisdom.
That's what it is.
Yep. I've heard really great things.
I've heard good things
and I'll say something you'll probably, at least not be mad about when it comes to Nintendo. Right now, I don't really care about what Nintendo's doing until they drop a new console.
That's fair. Everything feels like it's just a waiting game for that.
Well, I need to say, like, the games that they've made this past year have been pretty good for year 7, 8, 7.
Did you see they dropped a cease and desist for the
Pal World?
No, not Pal World.
They did it for Pal World.
Well, yeah, but for the emulator system.
Yuzu?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did see that.
Yeah, big thing.
Yeah, emulators. Man, emulators are tricky business. All right, I'll lay it out. I'll lay it out. My opinion on emulators. I think emulating is completely fine for games that you don't have access to. You know what I mean? Like, you can't exactly buy the PlayStation 1 version of that's PlayStation 2.
Yeah.
PlayStation 2 version of Jak and Daxter.
Yeah, a lot of games that haven't made their way forward, or even just old games that won't run on modern systems.
Yeah.
You need to emulate them.
Yes. So emulating is very fine.
Which is the reason why it is legal in the US.
Yes. For game preservation's sake, I think is the best thing ever. Like, there's so many games you can play now that you wouldn't be able to play at all if you didn't have it. However, when it comes to like current games, I'm more just like, it's way less like.
I think the trouble is with like current games, most people who emulate do it because they don't want to buy another console.
Yeah, it's not necessarily because like, I can't get it. It's I don't want to spend money.
Yeah,
which
I mean, for a lot of people, it is the only way they get to enjoy some of these games.
Yeah, but I mean, you could say like the only way you can enjoy a donut is by robbing a Dunkin'. So.
Personally, I don't think piracy is inherently bad.
I'm leaning more that way after these developers are saying like you're not actually owning your digital games.
Exactly. If if purchasing something isn't owning it, piracy's not stealing it.
That is the tagline that you see all over the
I
place.
completely agree with that sentiment. If I don't have the right to own my game after paying you $70 to play it,
You're buying a license for the
yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's
Yeah,
the
yeah.
same thing that I've been upset about Adobe doing with their suite of products.
Yes.
I hate it, and most people hate it.
And that's probably one of the most pirated softwares out there.
It is. It is. And here's the deal, though, right? Adobe profited off of it because they didn't crack down on it. You know why they didn't? Is because most people pirating it were broke college students doing it for their degrees. And then they get out of college, and then they use their employer's money to say, hey, the only thing I know how to use is Adobe Suite. And then it gets purchased with a business license.
Yeah, there's not really a gaming equivalent to that.
There sort of is. There sort of is.
Yeah.
So when it comes to like piracy for games, right? Having more people play your game is always better. And here's the deal. It is incredibly difficult to pirate online games because you still need a user ID when you play it.
Yes.
So it doesn't even affect most games. It's single player games, right? That your traction is completely based off of what people say about your single player game.
Yes.
And so it's generally a boon to companies to do it.
Yeah. I'm still just so conflicted on it because I'm like, if the game is available, you should just buy it.
No, I hear what you're saying, but the only reason that so most people are not going to pirate it, right? The people who are going to pirate it are the people who either can't afford it.
Okay, but if you're gonna have a computer that can run a Switch emulator, you can probably buy a Switch game.
It's not that difficult to run a Switch emulator. They're pretty non-process intensive.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. But you get what I'm saying, though. If you have the capability to have a machine that can run an emulator for games like the Switch. PlayStation 4/5, which PlayStation 4 emulators aren't even there yet.
I hold the same opinion that Pirate Software has on this. That gamers will not pirate games. So the people who can't afford games will pirate them because that's the only way they can play the games.
Yes.
That is, I think is completely fair.
The best way to stop pirating is to make the game available.
Exactly.
Yes.
And then the second thing is gamers will more than be willing to purchase a game from a company they like.
Yes.
So you take Helldivers 2, for instance.
Okay.
Yes, it was a Sony subsidiary, but they had people purchasing. They didn't do a battle pass. They didn't do any scummy stuff, right? You could get all the stuff with in-game currency, and yet people were more than willing. They didn't complain at all when you could purchase it with real-world money.
But that's an online game. I don't know if you can use that as an example.
Well, no, but it's an example of people don't complain about paying for things if you do it in an appropriate way that benefits gamers.
Sure.
And I think that's my opinion and how I feel about piracy is that I will gladly purchase a game if I have the funds to do it.
Yeah.
From a company that I like and I want to see more of.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the most modern game I can say I'm like completely fine with and like, hey, yeah, go pirate it is probably Bloodborne because they just haven't made the game available.
Well, exactly. I think I think piracy should be bigger in places like South America and Africa because, simply put, a lot of these companies are so greedy and they don't transfer the currency properly.
That's true.
Like,
I remember that now.
Like for people in Brazil, they were having the issue where their games in Steam were still set at USD equivalent. And you have to, as a developer, actually check if you want your game to be reduced at regional currencies. Which is crazy that most companies don't. Like, they should be pirated. Because if you want to play that game in a non-Western country, you're shilling out weeks, if not months of pay to play that game.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous, and it deserves to be pirated in that sense.
Deserves to be pirated is so strong.
I believe it deserves to be.
For modern single-player games, for those particular cases you're talking about, like South America, where it's literally a third of your paycheck to buy a game.
Yeah.
Agree. Do I think some guy that owns a Switch and a computer is like, oh, I'm gonna like pirate Pikmin 4 because I don't want to shill out money for whatever.
I think if you just want to play Pikmin 4 and you don't own a Switch, then fine.
That wasn't my example, but sure.
If you own the Switch and you don't want to purchase it, that feels weird to me because you have the console to do it.
Yeah. But anyway, that was a lot of like anti-emulation rhetoric from me.
I know.
But I need to confess, like I emulate a lot. So
Pulls out his emulator.
So this is I call it the Cade Station
Mm-hmm.
because it sounded right. But this is my mini PC. And for audio listeners, it's basically like a super small, like 7 by 5.5 by 3-inch mini PC.
Yep.
It's teal for audio
It is
listeners.
teal. You should like do an ASMR little pluck on it.
Sure.
Oh yeah. Oh, yeah. Now tap on it and like show the texture. Yeah. There you go.
Shh. How'd that make you feel?
Oh, I am so turned on right now. It's
Great.
crazy.
Just like I get turned on by retro emulation. So, in terms, basically what it is, and I'll probably have some, maybe I'll have footage playing, but we can do a walkthrough in a separate video. But basically what it is I added a front end, like
Portal.
portal, to basically play games from
Different consoles.
So I use this program called Busscribe. It's a Linux program. So I put Linux on it. I put the program on it. And I make it so it just boots right into that when you turn on the machine. And the nice thing about that program, Busscribe, is you can control everything with the controller.
Mm-hmm.
So as soon as you turn on the machine, you can turn on your controller and just act like it's a console. So consoles I have on this: NES, Super Nintendo, Nintendo 64, GameCube, Wii U. Got some handhelds like Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advanced, Nintendo DS, Nintendo 3DS.
PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2.
I got PlayStation 1 through 3, got the PSP, got the original Xbox.
And 360.
Got all the Sega systems on here. And I have Steam on this computer, which I can launch from the program, and I'll be able to remote play from my main PC any game in my Steam library that's compatible with a controller. So I was playing Final Fantasy 16 in my living room. I could boot out with a simple like button shortcut, play some Jack 2 on the PS2. I could go back downstairs to my PC and boot up that same Final Fantasy 16 save. It's great because really what I was missing from my life was the couch co-op opportunities. And that's why I ended up pursuing this, because I was like, man, I just wanted to play an older Mario Party, which, technically, the Switch has the online ones.
Ugh.
But I just like, it doesn't feel the same, it's better when or even Mario Party, the GameCube ones, like Mario Party 6 is my favorite. And so I just wanted to bring back that couch co-op thing, and I'm able to plug in, 4 controllers into this. It works with Bluetooth as well, so you can wirelessly connect. And it's pretty sweet. I even have like browsers I can launch from the front end portal. So like if I'm missing a game, I did this before. It's like, man, a family member is like, man, I used to play like this Dungeons and Dragons game on the Sega Genesis, and so I literally booted up Firefox on the Cade Station, and then I found the ROM, downloaded the ROM, and then was able to add it to my front end portal all within the span of like 5-10 minutes. So, I mean, it's pretty sweet. It's probably, and I will say for me, this is a super fun project because it involved a lot of like development on my end. So, and a lot of troubleshooting on my end. So like in terms of adding the program, that was on me. In terms of downloading all the games that I totally own, it's all my ISOs, I swear. That was all me.
For legal reasons.
For
it was
legal
all
reasons.
my own.
Yes. On all the BIOS, that was all my files that I had downloaded from systems that I ripped, of course. But there's tons of guides for how to do it. I mean, so the mini PC, it's a B-Link SE6 Max. So I bought on Black Friday.
Ryzen 9 6000 series.
Yes. So I kind of went a bit more expensive than you need to be because I really wanted to play the PS3 emulator on it. I really wanted to make sure I got that gap because I didn't want to have up to PS2 and then leave out PS3. So I made sure I got something that could at least play half of PS3 games there's a lot of problems with PlayStation 3 emulators because it's still a hefty console comparatively.
Yeah. No, it was a big jump from PlayStation 2.
Exactly. So it took a bit more work and it's still being developed on and stuff like that. But like I'm able to play Ultra Street Fighter 4, Ultimate Alliance 1. It doesn't play Ultimate Alliance 2 sadly, but it plays Ultimate Alliance 1. And it plays like it can even like I have Steam games downloaded as well, like so I can play offline. That's more of your party couch co-op games. But I mean, honestly, this thing has been absolutely amazing. I would totally recommend like working on a project like this if you're into retro emulation like at all. If you're missing like, man, I really want to play some older games and I have the money to shell out for this. So I'll talk about price point too, but I would totally recommend doing it. It was super fun. For me, I think the computer itself I bought for around $550.
That's not bad.
No, it's not. I got a 1 terabyte SSD stuck in that too. I bought 2 extra controllers for it, and like a mini like trackpad / keyboard. So if I need to actually go into the console commands, I can do that. But all in all, it's under $700 for and this is like a premium deal. Like I kind of went all out with this. You could do it for under $300.
Oh, easily.
For sure. Like a mini PCs, like a standard PC workstation can get you up to PS1 like easy. PS2.
If you're just looking for true retro, you don't need to go
Oh no.
very expensive at all.
Not at all. You could probably get a Windows workstation for less than $100 that can play up to PlayStation 1 games.
I used one on eBay or something and then just wipe the drives.
Yeah, it's super easy and it's super fun. Especially like I loved looking through all the the game libraries and just downloading a ton. And I'm actually super glad that I did that because the main website I used, Vim's Lair, got nuked by Nintendo. Nuked by Nintendo.
Of course it did.
Well, okay, yes, but it's like it got absolutely destroyed. So I'm glad I have all the files now.
I'm sure someone's got the files.
Yes,
out there.
there are plenty of ways to get the files.
Yes,
it's just not as convenient as Vim's Lair because now it's like you run the risk of viruses and all that.
Yeah,
but I love this thing. It's like that's how I didn't grow up on PlayStation 1 or 2, but I've been able to experience those games. Like I've been playing Kingdom Hearts 1 with my wife.
That sounds awesome.
It's super fun. I've been playing the Jak and Daxter series. Been playing some Metal Gear Solid games, Parappa the Rapper, that sort of stuff. Like games that I didn't grow up with because I was more on the Nintendo side. But, I knew of like all these games that I was missing out on. God of War.
Yeah.
Got the original God of War.
That's sweet.
So it's been super fun to go through the Sony games in particular. But I mean, even like jumping on like I beat Donkey Kong Country 3 last month. That game is not that good. Well, I shouldn't say it's not that good. Comparatively to the other two, it's pretty mid. But it's been a blast. It also has a lot of bells and whistles. The program does Batacera, so like I can add filters to my game. So like I can add scan lines if I'm playing a Super Nintendo game, get more of a CRT feel. Also something I spend way too much time doing is the front end portal. You can upload your own MP3 files. So to change what the menu music is. So I have something like 100 or something tracks on there that I can shuffle through as I'm scrolling through games. And just the way the front end portal looks is super awesome. I mean, you've seen it. It's like you can have different themes set up for it.
It feels really intuitive, very natural.
And it feels super slick because from the time like I boot it up to the time I'm in a game is pretty fast.
Have you fixed the controller issue? With multiple controllers.
Yes, so right now there is an issue with Batacera. Like if I have 2 of the same types of controllers, so if I have 2 Pro controllers from the Switch connected at the same time, it'll get confused and be like, oh, this input from this Pro controller is for both of them. So I use 4 different controllers, and that works fine. Sometimes I plug them into if they're giving me trouble, but. Oh, it's also a great way to play modded games. So, like, I have a modded Mario Kart Wii ROM that I play a ton of.
Which is very fun.
I know. Monkey Ball Gaiden, which is a great Monkey Ball ROM. you can play all the Smash ROMs. You can do a lot of super cool stuff with it. So it's a great way to play like really any not modern game.
Yeah.
Is what I would say. It's like this is the way to do it, I think, from now on.
I love emulators. I think they're really convenient and great. My brother has been showing me his, which he uses the Steam Deck. Yeah. Which it's pretty slick. That actually, so he's got all the way up to Switch games and then all previous as well. And it runs it very, very well.
I know, because it's an open OS system.
Like,
which means it's not a console.
Well.
Yeah.
Yep. That's not what I was saying.
Oh,
no.
okay.
Don't even.
Why?
Stop. No. This is practically almost a console.
Yeah, but it's open OS, so it's not a console.
That does not.
It's a computer. It's a personal computer, same as the Steam Deck.
Okay, but freaking
it's open OS.
Yeah.
You can't take a PlayStation and modify the OS to play other games. That's not on it.
Is an arcade machine an OS system, or is it just all the bells and whistles that go on it?
It's the OS. You talk about Neo Geos.
Well, let me tell you something about arcade machines. All arcade machines past like 2005 were just open OSs with programmed games on them.
Yeah, fine.
And so there's nothing specific about it. It's just a doctored up computer.
Well, those
and
are
you call it an
arcade
machine.
And also, I don't like the modern ones. It's the classic ones. But
2005 and after, that's still retro at this point, dude. This is 20 freaking years ago.
But in any case, it's like it's not. Those are different. That's like a 50-in-1 console.
I think calling it an OS is not going to change it between a console and this.
I think it. I think that determines if it's a personal computer or a video game console.
Because if
it's the OS,
if I just took Windows and I slapped certain restrictions on it and I put it in a fancy case and said, "Here's a new console I developed," what would you say to that? You say that's just a PC that looks different.
Am I able to like? Does it have games for it that fit that OS that it has to specifically? Because you're saying Windows with restrictions versus a completely new OS.
Well, okay, I could make a completely different OS. It's no different than like Linux, right? Like you can run Linux on nearly anything.
Okay.
I could jailbreak.
Is it an open OS?
See, that's where it's like...
Because that's what I'm saying. It's an open versus a closed OS.
I don't know that makes it a console versus a personal computer.
I mean, if you look at every example of a console, they all have their own
Mac is a closed
OS.
Mac is a closed OS.
Okay.
And that doesn't make it a console.
It's... Okay.
Am I crazy?
Yes.
What? You're saying it's open versus closed OS. Windows and Linux are the only open OSs.
Okay, but Mac's like the Mac OS is like specifically closed because of like my Apple being Apple.
Well,
they're not doing it because you physically cannot alter. You can't alter a console OS to play a different console's OS. Unless you...
I don't know that that's true.
I know. As soon as when I was saying it, I was like,
that's true.
When I was saying it, I was like, no, that's not true.
I'm like 90% certain that you could play PlayStation exclusives on an Xbox with the right tampering of your Xbox.
Yes, sure.
I'm like 90% certain you can.
I'm with you on that. That was a misstep by me.
So I don't think that a closed OS makes it a console.
I think if you look at every example of a video game console...
That's such... No, because...
Then where are you getting your rules from?
Where are you getting your rules from? Like, you only have...
I'm looking at video game consoles.
You only have 2 computer brands. Like, you...
and they don't fit.
You're comparing a whole plethora of consoles that have come out over the years to 2 computer brands.
Oh, okay. Show me more OSs then.
Like, no, they're all unique OSs to the system they operate on. Mm-hmm. I completely agree with that, but I think it's how it's packaged, right?
Okay.
Like, sure, a Windows PC is a PC.
Okay, so let me ask you this: the ROG Ally, right? You know of it, right?
Yeah.
Is that a console or a handheld computer? Is that a handheld personal computer
You're restricting
or a video game
this
console?
This is a fallacy because you're restricting me to only two options, when an answer could be both or neither. I think it's both. Because you can operate it as a handheld computer. You can operate it as a console. I don't think it has to be mutually exclusive. I think that's where you're boxing it in, is you believe they have to be mutually exclusive when they can be both. It can function as a console. It can function as a personal computer.
No, because the personal computer can act... Because it's like... No. All right, listen. This is about to take up like half the episode. But it's like... So personal computer, right?
Yes.
A Switch is still a computer at the end of the day.
Yes, it is.
Right? But it can't operate like a different personal computer.
Well, that's the restriction of the creator. That's like... It falls into the exact same thing where I could take Windows, doctor it just enough so you couldn't access those things, and then say, this is now a console.
So then it's the intention of the creator if it's a console or not.
Sure.
Steam doesn't even market it as a console.
No, they call it a handheld console.
No, they call it, it's like a console. They never say it's a console.
I would almost challenge you on that.
I looked at it, and that's why I'm confident in this.
I would almost challenge you on that.
Almost challenge me as he pulls up his phone. As he pulls up his phone, he's gonna challenge me.
I'm gonna challenge you live.
Red flag on the field. Micah's pulling up the phone, looking up Steam Deck website.
You're right. It says console-like experience. That's so weird.
Interesting, isn't it?
Why would they call it a console-like
Because maybe
experience?
the people developing the systems know what makes it a console or not, and they know that they can't call it a console.
Why? Why can't they call it a console? Is there a legal definition they have to meet?
Well, I mean, I'm not the guy to ask anymore.
The only reason
I'm not the guy to ask anymore, am I, Micah? I'm not the guy. It's the people making the market. They couldn't say it's a console, could they?
Is the only reason it's different is because there's a legal obligation to call it something different? And even if that's the case, then they're not different outside of a legal terminology.
Or maybe you're just taking it at a face surface value. Oh, it has buttons and joysticks. That means it's a console. Maybe you're the one being surface level.
Maybe. I don't like your initial argument about open and closed OS. I don't think that's what it is.
We can agree to disagree on that.
Okay.
I think that's where we need to leave it.
Okay.
I still feel very strongly that I'm right on the OS thing.
If you have a thought on what defines a console versus not a console
versus a personal computer.
Don't say personal computer, because because a handheld Steam Deck is not a personal computer.
It can? What? Yeah, it's literally open OS.
I wouldn't even call it a PC. It's a handheld.
It's a handheld personal computer.
I would almost call the Steam. Then what? Okay.
Because that's what this is. This is a personal computer. I'm holding K-Station. This is the personal computer that added a front end portal to load up the exe files to play the Steam games.
Yes.
Right.
And you use it like a console.
Yeah, because of the front end portal that I have.
Yes.
So that's just because I'm emulating the console experience. It's not a console. I'm using a computer to emulate the console experience.
Okay.
And that's what the Steam Deck is doing. Right?
See, the problem that I struggle with there is that is the 3DS.
Yes.
What would you call that? A personal computer?
A handheld video game console.
Why would I not call the Steam Deck that?
So you want me to bring up a different point or what?
No, I feel like it's the same argument there, right? Because this has nothing on it. I cannot use this handheld. So I understand what you're saying, right? As a computer, you're emulating a console experience, right?
And the Steam Deck is emulating the handheld console experience.
It's not emulating a handheld console experience. It is a handheld console.
Well, it's a handheld computer that gives you a front-end portal that is emulating this like a 3DS home screen. It doesn't emulate the 3DS home screen, but
that completely blows off the like intentionality part. Like, it's intentionally a self-contained unit.
It literally said it provides a console-like experience. So the intentionality piece is it's trying to be console-like, but it's not a console. It's trying to be console-like.
But it's not it's not a personal computer. It's not
Are
a
you
PC.
sure about that?
Yeah.
You sure about that?
No, but my opinion,
That's okay.
it's not a PC.
That's okay. Well, that was something.
It's its own OS, isn't it?
Steam Deck?
Yeah.
No.
Is it just Windows?
Yes. It might be slightly. I know the RG Ally specifically is just Windows.
Mm-hmm.
I know that.
I know
for
that
a
one
fact.
is.
For a fact. The Steam Deck, it's not like Steam OS.
Mm-hmm.
So
Is it?
I would
It's
need to
just a restricted version of Windows.
I would. It's not. It's only restricted on the front end portal. You can.
Yeah, no, you can access the back end.
It's literally you can
Hence
access
the reason.
It encourages you to.
Hence the reason you can emulate on it.
It encourages you to access the back end,
You
which is
know-
something that also consoles don't
You know,
do.
you are watching a man live get his mind changed. That's me, not him, by the way.
I was about to say, I'm like, man, I don't know what I said.
You are watching someone get their mind changed live.
Doesn't happen very often.
No, but I think you're right. I don't think your definition is right.
That's okay. You agree with me. You just don't like the way I said it.
I'll take that. Yes, I'll take that now. I would still like people's opinions though. On
Yes.
anyway.
No. Please share your opinion. Am I wrong? Am I right? Is Micah right?
No,
Does SteamOS exist? And I'm stupid.
I just want to clarify. I don't think I'm right anymore. I just don't like how he said it.
That's okay. It's not my way or the highway. Except it kind of is, but it's like whatever.
No. I would need to find a different level to agree on because I don't agree with what you said, but I don't agree with myself anymore.
Interesting. That's okay. You can self-reflect.
Talking about retro games, let's talk about the game of the year from 2009.
2009.
That transition gets better every time.
I know, and no one can expect it anymore for sure.
No, it's okay.
2009. I have not looked at the list. I need to preface this. I didn't do much research going into this. I know a couple games from 2009.
There's some good games.
Yes.
Sorry, I'm gonna sneeze.
Please do.
I'm not gonna sneeze anymore. That
done.
sucks. So starting out with our British friends,
Yes.
BAFTAs chose Batman: Arkham Asylum,
Ooh.
which is a great game.
That came out in 2009.
Yes, and I'm about to give you another one that Dice chose.
Doesn't that make you feel old?
Uncharted 2 Among Thieves,
Ooh.
which was a significant improvement on the experience of Uncharted 1 in every way.
Yes.
Phenomenal.
Uncharted
phenomenal
2 and
games.
Batman Asylum in the same year?
Yep.
I mean, well, I haven't heard the full list, but you can't blame either
No,
publication
you
or
can't blame
company for-
either until you hear what the other games are, and then you might wonder, why did they choose either?
Okay. Well, now you got me hooked.
You have games like Modern Warfare 2, Assassin's Creed 2, not the best Assassin's Creed game, but
Agree.
you have Killzone 2, not Game of the Year material, but Resident Evil 5, Left 4 Dead 2, arguably one of the best zombie cooperative zombie shooters in my opinion.
Yeah, Left 4 Dead 2 is great.
Demon Souls.
Not Game of the Year material.
No, but it was the start of something beautiful.
It was.
It was the start of the conversation we had at the start of this episode.
It was the face plant before the sprint. I shouldn't say face plant, but
It was basically a face
I mean,
plant.
if you play the remastered version, you're like, man, how'd they get away with this?
Dragon Age Origins.
Okay.
Borderlands, the first one. More Grand Theft Auto expansions. Ratchet and Clank Future, A Crack in Time.
Okay.
Infamous,
Oh, Infamous?
The Sims 3, which is crazy.
Yeah,
that came out in 2009.
And we're still on Sims 4.
You know, they said they're not going to make a Sims 5. They said their plan is to keep providing expansions to The Sims 4. They said it would be a disservice to the player base to offer them a Sims 5 when they can just expand upon the current game experience.
Really?
Yep.
Is that the reason?
I think the reason is they're afraid they've put too much into The Sims 4 that no one would buy a Sims 5.
People will buy a Sims 5.
Plants vs. Zombies. New Super Mario Bros. Wii.
Ooh.
Marvel Ultimate Alliance 2, not game of the year at all,
I
but
love that one.
Angry Birds.
Just straight up.
Just straight up Angry Birds.
We're hitting that time. Mobile games.
I know. Hey, speaking of Anno 1404 came out.
Ooh.
Empire Total War, one of the best Total War games, my opinion. I don't know if you're into the Total War franchise
I'm
at
not.
all. It's long time running. It's a classic.
Yeah.
It's really great. That's arguably one of the best. It's at least the largest map. Not since Warhammer, though. But anyway. Metroid Prime trilogy.
The trilogy. Yep. I wouldn't even count it.
No, I wouldn't either. It's just a
trilogy.
It's Bayonetta.
Ooh, Bayonetta 1.
Great. Halo Wars. Sorry, that wasn't...
There's so much stank on it.
The Legend of Zelda Spirit Tracks.
That's a good theme song.
Dragon Quest 9.
On the Nintendo DS.
Anyway, that's the top of the list that's here.
Yeah, I know a couple more. I'm pretty sure Pokemon Platinum released in the US.
I think that's
2009.
true. I think that's
and
true.
Wii Fit came out in 2009. So, Punch Out for the Wii. 2009.
Was that 2009?
That was 2009, and I believe that's still the last Punch Out game. That was 2009.
Both of those things seem crazy to me.
I know. I feel like they can't make another Punch Out game anymore because they'll get blasted because every single character in that game is a country stereotype.
Right. 2009. That's crazy.
Yeah, like you can't make a game in 2024 with Soda Popemski. Now it's or like Don Flamingo, or I'm trying to remember, or even Doc Lewis. I feel like people might be upset by, but you know.
Do you know Mike Tyson was in Punch Out, but his license expired with Nintendo, and they replaced him with a fictional character named Mr. Dream?
Yeah, I didn't know that.
That's crazy.
On the original Mike Tyson's Punch Out.
Yeah.
Yep.
Anyway, sorry, that was a different.
I'd like a new Punch Out game.
I would love a new Punch Out game. That'd be freaking sick.
You played Punch Out?
Yeah, I played Punch Out.
Yeah, but they won't do it. They can't.
No, you can't really.
You can't do game based on country stereotype characters.
Well, you can, but I don't know that they can.
I don't think Nintendo will. Nintendo will not.
That's the problem. Is I think you can, and I think it would sell well.
Mm-hmm.
But some companies have a face to keep.
All right, here I got the save.
Okay.
You just make it. You just fight Nintendo characters instead.
I mean, that's always the save, isn't it?
It's the save.
Yeah.
I mean, because like they had Donkey Kong in the Wii version, and that was super cool. That was like a hidden character that you had to unlock.
I think the cool part about it though is the stereotyping.
I mean, it's a lot of fun characters.
I think that's.
Do you know Super Macho Man?
Yes.
Super Macho Man, and dude, Mr. Sandman.
It's just stuff that there's a bit of charm in
Glass Joe. Talk about charm. Glass Joe.
Dude, I miss some of these older games.
They made the Irish guy the cheater though.
They had spunk.
They had spunk.
It was spunky.
There's character.
So, what do you think is game of the year though?
That's a tough one. I mean, in terms of like games I enjoy the most from 2009, it might just be Arkham Asylum.
I think not to really bash the choice of Uncharted 2, but I do think Arkham Asylum's just a better game.
You think so?
I feel like the trouble I have with all the Uncharted games, okay, is that gameplay-wise, they don't feel particularly unique.
From each other or from what?
Each other, that whole game genre, it hasn't changed a whole lot since 2005 to frickin' 2024.
Well, it does in the subtleties, I would say.
I mean, there's subtle things, but it is mostly just game direction, right? You need a better director on those games than you actually need a game designer.
Yeah.
Because even at least Uncharted had I wouldn't say in-depth, but a decent crafting system, right? Where if you found the right materials and you wanted to stop and build them into something, they'd help you progress. And some of the levels were truly hard in Uncharted. Like you had to be stealthy or you die. And those... Did I say Uncharted? The Last of
yeah.
Us. Sorry. The Last of Us crafting system wasn't super in depth, but it was in a way you could build things that would help you during the level because you had to be stealthy. In Uncharted, you didn't have to because you just shoot your way through it.
Well, yeah. I mean, Uncharted gameplay, especially on harder difficulties, is go behind this wall and shoot until they're gone and then keep going. But, I mean, the different subtleties that each game had made it feel unique. And, like, honestly, that's another game where it's like the gameplay takes a backseat.
Yeah,
I would say.
I completely agree.
Or it's out of the spotlight, I should say. It doesn't take a backseat. It's out of the spotlight.
I mean, I'd almost say Uncharted 1 and 2, it kind of is a backseat. I could be wrong. I could be misremembering.
I think Uncharted 4, it's way more of a backseat than Uncharted 2.
Oh, absolutely. I think Uncharted 3 probably is the good blend. I don't know. Maybe I'm mixing up Uncharted 2.
When was the last time we've played Uncharted, if we're being honest?
I haven't played any Uncharted game for 10 years.
Yeah, it's been a while.
It's been a while.
So, you know, we'll get there.
8 years, something like that.
So saying that, we're completely unbiased in saying that we think Arkham Asylum is
I've played
better.
Arkham Asylum more recently than I've played Uncharted.
Man, I like Arkham City so much more, though. You know what I mean? It's
I feel I have a special spot for Arkham Asylum.
Yeah, that's good for you.
It's one of the ones that you play it and you go, this was really made in 2009?
Yeah. It's crazy to think that that's when the Feel Like Batman thing happened. It was
I know.
2009. I feel like
I know.
I remember that. It was 2009.
I know. When was the Dark Knight trilogy coming out?
The trilogy?
Yeah,
Like late 2010s.
that's what I thought. Like this
Because it was around the same time as Arkham Knight. Well, it was either right after Arkham Knight or right before Arkham Knight.
The Dark Knight was 2008. So this was smack dab in that.
Yeah, and the Batman hype.
Yeah.
So, and you can feel that. It's definitely a more Christian Bailey
Yes.
Batman.
My favorite Batman, by the way,
Okay, that's fine.
was you're gonna say the most recent one,
Man,
Batman.
I like that. I like that movie more than a Dark Knight trilogy,
Really?
personally.
That's an interesting take. I know plenty of people who agree with that.
Yes, but I mean, I'm not saying that's like the. All right, this is probably another side thing, but like, I feel like the Batman focused on a thing that no really other Batman films have done, and it's that he's a detective. And I love that part of Batman, and it showed that great. And I love that was the Riddler and the Riddler, Matt Dano.
Yep.
He was
Matt Damon.
No,
What's his
Dano.
name? Is his name Dano?
Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
So he was awesome. Like, and they're doing a sequel still because, and they did the Penguin show,
which
I haven't watched.
I've heard it's really good.
I know. I know he's. Yeah, but
I'm looking forward to this version of the Batman universe.
Yes, I like the detective version of him. I think Robert Patterson.
Yep.
Did a great job. Patterson or Pattinson? Patterson. But
Twilight
I think
guy.
he did a great job at being like the detective and all that. I think that was great. So
at the end of the day, I would agree that, well, I struggle because he was better at playing Batman, but I don't think he was better at Bruce Wayne.
Yes. That's completely understandable. I mean, you can see the same for Spider-Man. For Spider-Man, you had actors that were great at the Peter Parker bit, but not so good as Spider-Man. Like, I mean, that's the thing people say about Tobey and Andrew Garfield. It's like Tobey was like a great Peter Parker, but Andrew had a stronger Spider-Man because he was quipping a lot more and he felt more natural. But he wasn't as good as a Peter Parker. But personally, I think that's because they decided to go the "Are my parents international spy" route? So I think that's more of the writing's fault than actors' fault. But whatever.
Yeah. I think when it comes to like Batman, right? I think that there's a certain level of charm from the Dark Knight's trilogy where he is Bruce Wayne, who is Batman, right? And they very seamlessly switch between those two roles, and I think he did great as Batman, right? I do think Robert
Patterson.
First name basis.
First name basis.
Yep. Twilight guy. He played Batman really, really well.
But you gotta also remember, this is, at least in that movie, it was supposed to be a new Batman.
Yes, he's
He's a
starting
newer
out again.
Batman. He's just starting out. He's not really,
Which,
he's still brooding and not business. And he starts to get into business towards the end of the
origin movie, I almost like it better than the Dark Knight Rises origin.
Batman Begins?
Yeah, Batman Begins.
I don't think Batman Begins is really that good of a film.
No, I don't think it is either.
When you're watching the trilogy, you don't really watch Batman
you don't.
Begins.
You don't at all, because his time training as a monk and all that, it's so boring, and you just want it to
Scarecrow
pass.
isn't a strong villain, in my opinion.
I think Scarecrow not being Scarecrow was the best part. Him without the mask on.
Yes.
I think Christopher Nolan has a way of picking people who do really well face to camera, but struggle to play with a mask on.
Yeah.
Like, that just seems to be an issue with a lot of his films.
Indeed. Indeed, Batman.
I love Bane. I love Bane. I love Bane and Joker. I think they held those movies, right?
Yeah. I mean, both Batman is his villains.
Mm-hmm.
Same with Spider-Man. I think Spider-Man's villains are what makes those two characters probably the most popular comic book characters.
Spider-Man is pretty one-dimensional except for his villains. Don't say he's not. I know he has moments, but he's pretty one-dimensional. People, you look at the comics and you go, oh, he had his defining arcs here, and here, frickin' 15 years apart in the comics. Like, don't even start with he's multi-dimensional.
And Batman's more than one-dimensional.
Batman has a 3-arc series that happens in one movie every single time.
I'm not gonna get into that.
I don't think I'm crazy. I don't think that's a hot take.
No, I mean, it's fine to say. I disagree.
Batman is a one-trick pony. He's too moral for his own good, and then he has a crisis where, oh no, he has to do something against his code for good, and then he has to figure out, was that actually good? And oh my goodness, I feel so bad for him. Not. Anyway, sorry. It's pretty.
I wouldn't even agree with that.
It's pretty one-dimensional. I don't know.
Oh my goodness. This is crazy. I'm not going to even get into it because we still haven't decided what's the 2009 Game of the Year, and it's Arkham Asylum, and we both agree.
Yes, I agree with that. Yeah, it's Arkham Asylum, 100%.
Great. So now let's talk about how Spider-Man is not one-dimensional.
Okay, how isn't he one-dimensional? He goes through a coming-of-age story, and that's about it. Am I crazy? I don't think I'm crazy.
All right. Okay. I'm trying to think of how far deep I want to go, because you haven't read the comics, I imagine, right?
I've read take a number of highlight issues, and I've probably read those. Other than that, I haven't been get the comics every edition.
Okay. In terms of when Spider-Man's on a team, one-dimensional.
Yes,
I'll give it. His own comics, he's a lot deeper in terms of or even in the movies.
Which ones?
Spider-Man 2.
Okay.
He's dealing with, being the neighborhood Spider-Man and also a regular guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the one where he throws in the trash can. Is that 3?
Yeah, 2, I think.
It is 2.
Yeah.
And that's it's not even a symbiote. That's just him dealing with life stuff.
Yeah. No, I get that. It's just, it doesn't feel weighted, I guess.
Does any comic feel weighted, though?
But hear me out, right? He throws it in the trash because he's struggling with doing both, right?
Mm-hmm. And he's decided, hey, I should do it for me.
Yes.
I should do what's best for me.
Yes,
and that's what he decides.
But then it doesn't matter, because at the end of the movie, he goes right back to the similar thing, but now he's in a better headspace. That's not multidimensional.
But you can say that about any arc with most characters.
Yes, I think most superhero characters aren't multidimensional.
Then give me an example of a multidimensional character.
Homelander from The Boys.
Homelander from The Boys is your multidimensional
yes, because
character.
he starts out as archetypal villain, right? He's got a nice face, but he's a bad guy, right? And then there are moments where he becomes, he's relatable in the sense that it's a lot of mental trauma. It's the reason he's doing it. He's still a bad guy, and no one's not going to consider him a villain, right? but I think he has more depth than a standard villain.
Because you see his trauma more laid out, like
No, because you understand why he's doing certain things.
same with Victor Von Doom, same with a ton of villains. You
Exactly.
know?
I think villains have been treated much better in the
Yes.
multidimensional personality than superheroes.
Okay, I can give you. We can agree on that because personally, I think it's the villains that make the popular series versus the actual heroes.
Yeah, you can only see a hero beat up a regular guy so many times.
Yes, it's because of how the villains handle, the same decisions that really heroes get. Get is like, how do they handle that decision?
Yeah.
And when it's not seen positively according to public perception, what does that mean? How do they handle it? Do they take on this villain role, or do they still believe that they're right? I mean, all of them believe that they're right in a sense, but it's okay. Would you say Thanos is more in depth from MCU than Batman or Spider-Man?
I don't know that I can think Thanos is more in depth because he struggles with the one-trick pony thing, right? He is dead set on the universe is dead. No, I don't think he's very complex. I think his character is very straightforward, right? I think there's a emotional depth where they try to make you understand with him, but at least from the movies, right? You either think he's right or he's wrong, and it doesn't matter because the movies portray him as wrong.
Okay, but with Homelander, you always even if you see the trauma, you're just like, all right, but that doesn't just
but it revolves around the depth of what he is, right? As for Thanos, there isn't hesitation in his eyes ever. Homelander shows remorse, but he's still a bad guy, right? He shows remorse that he had to do in his own eyes. He had to do this evil act in front of his son, whatever, right? He realizes he doesn't believe that what he did was wrong, but he believes his son shouldn't have seen it. Thanos never shows remorse for his actions. Ever, period.
Killing Gamora?
I don't really think he showed remorse. He said, "I'm sorry, little one," and then moved on with his life.
No, he was actually upset about it, and you could tell it. And he didn't, because that's why he was able to get the stone. Is because he hated doing it.
Okay, I'll give them that. That is one extra layer to Thanos.
Okay, I don't think Homelander is as deep as you're thinking. What I think is way more interesting about Homelander is the public perception that follows him, not necessarily
that's true.
Him as
That's true.
As a person.
My ideal villain, and now this is going to be every wine mom's is I think what's his name? Fisk? No, that's no. I'm thinking of, it's not Red Notice. It's
Red Skull.
No, it's not a comic.
Kingpin.
It's a TV series that was coming out for a long time.
Arrow.
The
Flash.
It's about a Stop.
Prison Break. Breaking
Reddington
Bad.
Is his name.
Reddington.
Raymond Reddington.
Never heard of this guy.
From
oh boy. From an ABC show.
Why can't I find The Blacklist? There we go. The Blacklist ran for 10 years on TV.
Okay.
Raymond Reddington is probably my favorite villain from any TV series because he has extraordinarily subjective morality in a way, though, that provides him a lot of depth because it's very constant, but it will he feels like a very depth character, at least in the first 4 seasons. Obviously the show drags on longer than it needs to. It ran for 10 years. Whatever, right? But it's things like he has a moral code, and whether you agree with it or not, he sticks to it. But he's willing to bend his code in specific reasons for people in a way that he's a bad guy who will do good things to... I'm really explaining it poorly, but he is probably one of my favorite villains that I've ever watched. He's also the second main character of this show, but I really enjoy the first several seasons of The Blacklist. This is my recommendation for it. But
I'm just listening. I'm just
no, I'm really struggling to encapsulate what I like about him. He's suave in an evil way.
He's got aura.
He's got aura. His aura is pretty high.
Okay.
Where you just want to kill him some episodes.
And you just want to kiss him.
And you just want to kiss him some other episodes. And the trouble is neither feels like an out-of-place emotion with him.
No.
Which I think...
I want to kiss him with a dagger.
Yeah.
In his heart mouth.
Yeah, in his heart mouth.
Yeah.
I want to stab him
with
and
my
kiss
lips.
him at the same time. I want to... Yes.
I think I understand.
Yeah. Anyway, all I'm saying is
yes.
I think superheroes have been done dirty, at least in the movies, which is odd since they fight a new villain every movie, but have had the chance to grow in multiple movies. I feel it's weird that they play the one trick every time, but whatever. I could be wrong.
I think this is a deeper conversation that we should bring more specific examples to.
I agree. More research should be done so that I can be more educated.
I know. On the next episode, at least.
Yes.
Speaking of the next episode, thank you for making it all the way here. Please like, comment, and subscribe. We've enjoyed this time. We've enjoyed hanging out with you. I've been Cade.
I've been Micah.
See ya.
Toodles.